Welcome, everyone. Today, we are introducing a project designed to empower independent creators through an AI-powered platform that enhances content production, optimization, and management. Let me start by sharing some key insights from our contextual inquiries, which shaped our approach. Number one is that the idea that AI challenges traditional creativity. Stakeholders, including designers and business owners, worry that AI makes high-quality art accessible to anyone, questioning the value of formal training in human skill in the creative process. And also the idea of the balance of originality. There's a concern that extensive use of the same AI tools could lead to repetitive, uniform content. Originality depends on users' ability to customize AI outputs effectively. And and also very important is the idea of efficiency versus dependency. AI improves efficiency by automating tasks like editing and scheduling, but stakeholders fear overdependence could undermine creativity and innovation. And finally, preserving emotional depth. While AI can mimic emotional tones, stakeholders agree that it lacks genuine empathy and lived experience that human creators bring to their work. Uh, my phone died. Yes.
All right. So one thing that we want to look into for our software is the backgrounds and our stakeholders. So there's a lot of potential stakeholders involved here, and one of them is we just have a few that we really feel are relevant here. And the first one that I want to discuss is artists, which also includes authors and journalists. So everyone knows that AI can develop art. Um, if you Google AI art, we get a ton of options, some paid, some free. But like we talked about in the last slide, there's some issues, potential issues with having it so easily available. How much, like Michael said, how much does it devalue the work if this art is so readily available to anyone? So this is something that traditional artists have to consider if they're painters or digital artists. Why would why would their product be desirable over something that can just be gotten immediately for free? So it's one thing they have to consider. The same thing applies to journalists and authors, and it's really important that these people they have some understanding of how to use AI and be familiar with it. So they could use AI for making like a bullet point list, a maybe something like a an outline, or they could potentially you could potentially even generate a whole article using AI pretty easily. Um, and when it comes to programmers, it's a pretty similar situation. Um, if an AI can write code every bit as well as a human, which it may not be able to yet, but in the future, if it's every bit as skilled as a skilled programmer, then why would a company hire programmers when they could just have a few people who put in stuff into an AI and run it that way? They could cut labor costs this way, make be more efficient. But the problem is, what do you do? What about all these skilled programmers who have worked their whole lives to have the skills to write software? That's not fair to them. So that is something that they have to contend with, and something that we want to be able to assist them with this software. And the next slide. And that brings us into universities and students. And as we've all seen in college, colleges tend to discourage the use of AI, which makes sense from an academic honesty standpoint. If you're in a programming class and you're a professor, you don't want something that's just AI generated because the student didn't learn anything and it's dishonest. But I think it would be smart to incorporate some understanding of AI into these courses so that programmers can learn to work with AI, artists can learn to work with AI, but still have their own voice and develop their skills. They should absolutely learn the old-fashioned way, but if this is what the world is going to be like, then It's something they need to be prepared for, and it's something they need to have the skills for. So that's another thing we aim to do with our software. We'll help people work, we'll make them more efficient, but we'll let them keep their voice. I'm gonna pass it off.
Okay, so contextual inquiry. So when we're thinking about the contextual inquiry for this assignment, we were looking at the context in which independent creators find themselves today. We know that creative professionals, writers, such as writers, bloggers, designers, independent publishers, are all working in an environment where artificial intelligence tools have become widespread and readily available. This proliferation of AI challenges the traditional notion of what it means to be creative and what skill sets truly set a creator apart. Creators are wrestling with questions such as if anyone can generate compelling images, story outlines, or marketing copy at the click of a button, then where does the real human value lie? From recent contextual inquiries, we came to the conclusion that there's a growing concern about the originality and the uniformity of content when everyone leans on similar AI models. One worry is that over-reliance on these tools might lead to homogeneous sameness in creating creative outputs. Both these concerns also highlight an in opportunity. The next wave of AI platform must empower creators to inject their unique voice, style, and culture and context into the work rather than flattening those attributes. The platform we're envisioning, an AI-powered ecosystem for content production, optimization, and management, is meant to serve as a kind of creative assistant. Instead of overshadowing human creativity, it would support independent creators by handling the more repetitive and time-consuming tasks. Think about scheduling posts, running grammar checks, converting content into multiple formats, or curating social media promotions. Automating these elements can free creators to focus on the nuanced emotional depth and human-centered storytelling that machines still struggle to replicate. If you go on to the next slide, Um, look at the example of Emily, an independent author and digital entrepreneur. She uses AI prompts to brainstorm ideas and generate a basic structure for her work, rather than simply accepting the what the AI suggests. Emily reviews these machine-generated outlines carefully so he can then to ensure her personal voice remains intact. She is not delegating her creativity entirely to the AI. Instead, she is using the AI as a launchpad, something that speeds up ideation and preliminary drafting. Then Emily layers in cultural context, emotional texture, and narrative complexity. The result is a piece of content that's both efficient to produce and uniquely hers. Our platform aims to integrate seamlessly into creators' workflow. Beyond simply helping with the initial draft, it can manage publishing logistics, assist with marketing materials, and provide intelligent suggestions for optimizing content for different audiences without sacrificing authenticity. It could track what resonates with readers, offer analytics-based improvements, and streamline the entire life cycle of content, from concept to publication and beyond. Now I pass it on to the next slide.
All right, so for our design process and outcomes for this semester. So for our design process, we first started off with the first step in the process is just to conceptual design, right? So our conceptual design that we made includes our ecological perspective, where it essentially just creates a kind of create, share, reuse ecosystem for our platform. And this is where each users and collaborators can share their work and also have other collaborators peer review and edit their work in order to help inspire them to create something that is uniquely theirs, as Trium just said. And we also have the interaction perspective, where this is where we, in our platform, we just have well established icons and also well labeled navigations And we also have a few logical pathways to some functions where we could just draft, edit, share, and then publish our work. And for and the last perspective is our emotional perspective. And this is where we just included a few progress milestones and a few badges and a few minor awards. And this is all to kind of evoke a sense of inspiration and achievement for our users. And this perspective in turns helps our encourages our users to actually continue using our platform to like publish and share their work to a wider audience. And for our next part of the design process is the interaction design, where I actually included a flow chart, and this flow chart has six different pages and different navigations to link for each pages for our design. And for our interactive prototype, and then the prototyping tool we use for our to actually implement our design is called Figma. And in Figma, this is where I a few included the features for each page, which is the main page, which is the first page you could click into. And then after that, it will navigate to the content creation page. And this page is where users or like creators could share, could edit, and even draft their work to like a wider audience. And then they also have a next page, which is a template library. In this, you can select some pre-existing templates. And when you click in, you can even have another template editing page where you just edit the template as you see suitable for your particular goals. And then you have an analytics dashboard that highlights which template is best for which tasks and which template or even which one of your works are the most popular, or like how many views, how many audiences have it been spreading to. And we also have a profile setting page. And this page is where you just establish your name, what your occupation, and your overall goals as a creator. And you can even add your own personal picture in it. And then for the last step in the design process, we included a final interaction design demo. And then this is a link to video, but obviously no time to actually watch it. So yeah. And for our design iterations and improvements evolved over the course of the semester is first, we had an initial concept that we wanted a platform that can help an AI platform that can help creators publish their work to like a wider audience, all while retaining their unique style of work. And first, we had to turn to our stakeholder survey and feedback, and this is where we just get feedback from the stakeholders on how we're going to implement it. And then they said by using as much 8 pages and also as much features as possible to like create, share, edit, and also as much features as possible for like a variety of different types of templates. And that was their suggestion. And then we actually had to perform a usability development testing on our own. And then where we tested that the current design that the stakeholders suggested actually did achieve our main objective of like having the creators' work published to a wider audience. So that was good. But then it wasn't enough for us. So we had to have our primary and secondary persona, aka our users, give us feedback on their experience on using our app. So when they used this app, they realized that it was way too many pages, and also so they suggested cutting it to 6 pages just so it was more convenient for them to navigate around each page and to better edit and organize their different works and to not have it too messy. And so our next round of design prototyping, we actually implemented their feedback, and we actually included only 6 pages for them to make it easier to navigate through each pages. And so their reasoning for all these changes all include just the overall user needs and convenience to actually navigate through and organize their pieces of work. And since the app is obviously pretty new to them, they needed a way to actually reach a wider audience. And so we needed to make it more convenient and concise as possible. And we also considered the usability enhancement for each of the creators, and the stakeholder feedback also helped us lay out a foundation for a groundwork for how our app was going to look like. So this is how we kind of evolved our design process throughout the semester. So for the next slide, we also have a user evaluation plan. And so for our future user evaluation plan, we plan to bring in a few more participants aka a few more, and one of them would be UMD students from many different majors this time. And we would also want to include just a few bloggers to test our UA and overall navigation. And so for the methods and materials we were using, we just wanted to, our first step is to obviously share the Figma prototype via email. And then we wanted to, our goals for this plan is to really just evaluate ease of navigation and how usable it is, and our overall aesthetic of our page design. And in order to do this, we need to actually, the material we need is a survey and to get feedback from them. So our overall goals for this plan is really just to collect feedback on UI intuitiveness, aka the design. And then we had to identify some weak points in our design and app, and also areas to improve our app's overall design and usability. And then we had to refine this design for enhanced user satisfaction and user experience. So next, I will pass it on to Garrett to wrap our conclusion up.
So in conclusion, we've all seen artificial intelligence to some degree. You can find it online. If you Google anything generic into Google, like space or nature, it'll probably come up with AI. I've even been to a few concerts that use AI art in the background. So it's everywhere basically, and it's amazing. It's incredibly high tech. It's incredible. But there's a lot that we need to consider under the surface. We need to make sure that people don't become overly reliant on it. We need to make sure that people maintain their own unique voice culturally. And we need to make sure that there's a market for programmers and artists, and that this doesn't become like a cheap alternative for people who work hard. So basically, in conclusion, our app aims to help people and to not do the work in place of people. It's a tool, and it doesn't do the work itself. We want our app to do things that are repetitive and don't require as much thought, so that the specialists can do the thought themselves and be more efficient. So that's our goal, to help people be more efficient and to let them maintain their voice.